Good morning on this election day. It is November 8th, 2022. Yes, 2022. Midterm election day. Not going to talk about that. I did already vote because my polling place is en route to work, so I figured might as well do it in the morning before going. So I already voted. But for those of you out there who have who are on the fence, look. I have a political preference. I tend to lean more liberal. If you listen to any of the shows, either of the shows or read the books, you know where my political affiliations lie. I don't exactly make a secret of it. That said, I just think everyone should go out and vote, regardless of who you vote for. Because, look, if you don't vote and then you sit there and bitch about the state of things, you had your chance to influence, even if it is a small amount of influence, and questionable how much influence it actually is, depending on where you're from. It is still something that you should go out and do, no matter what. I mean, I was in and out in 5 minutes, and it would have been faster if it weren't for the woman in front of me didn't know how to read the ballot, because the ballot's a little funky. And for whatever reason in New York, they always put the ballot initiatives on the back, which I have yet to have a year where I go to vote, and the ballot initiative on the back doesn't cause an issue. I don't understand it. Every year there's at least one or two people there who are like, oh, you didn't bubble in the back, and it's like, okay, well, whatever. But just, go in. Every line's important, even if you only believe in local government, because local government's going to have the closest impact on your life, in your opinion. Go in and vote, because it's your chance to do that. So preachiness is over, and we're going to get on to today's main event, that being, we're going to talk about Sonic Adventure 2, because Sonic Frontiers came out, and despite asking for a code, I did not get one. So, whatever, we're not going to, be covering that for a few weeks at least, until I can afford to, buy it out of pocket, because that's it's an expense, and I only have so much budget for new games, and, Sonic Frontiers was going to be it's going to be the big one this year. We're talking about Sonic Adventure 2, because I did just replay that within the last week or two, and I do have a few thoughts on that game now that I've played it again for a second. I really should have played the theme music for video games, because this is a video game episode, so. I do have this theme music, might as well make some use of it. So anyway, what we have is, this game came out, I think, in 2000 or 2001 initially. I didn't get around to playing it until it made its way to the GameCube as Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which included new gameplay modes and Chao Karate and other things added on. But, whatever. So, I played it then, loved the game then, and I was curious about how well the game holds up to contemporary standards. And having played this game, having played a few of the more modern Sonic games, I did briefly play, Colors, and Generations, I loved Generations, but some of the levels are just way too fucking long. It is just needlessly long. in Generations. And then on top of that, too, it's like Generations, you have to do that, and then you also have to, like, change gameplay styles sometimes, because I do have the various, like, the whatever the fuck those little things were called in colors, I don't remember. But, you know, all of that notwithstanding, what the fuck is going on here? This is the RNC headquarters for the town. That's having a party, I guess. The premature ejaculation of... Yep, they're having a giant rally for Zeldin. Good for him. So, yeah. So, whatever. If you were curious about me, you know, and my political views, there you go. His most recent ad is just, I saw it on TV last night, because that's probably my favorite part of this, is that we are now at the end of the fucking constant ads that are attacking people and misrepresenting, you know, reality. And, like, the ad that they ran, it's like, I used to have my, I used to have my daughters in comedic situations, but now the time for comedy has stopped. And I'm like, did you just, like, hire an alien that was, like, observing the Earth for, like, the last 30 years and have them write the script for this? Because it's just so stilted, like, and his delivery doesn't help either, where it's like, can you, like, you know, have it, like, sound like someone who has, I don't know, spoken before people before. But yeah, whatever, we're getting off topic again. But, so, like, Generations has some levels that are just obtusely long, and I'm just like, look, let's just not do that. So I went in and I'm like, you know, I bought this on Steam years ago, let me reinstall it and play through it a little bit. I was going to play through DX as well, but DX has that issue where the cat levels basically make the game a slog to replay, because you can't play through in the same way that, like, Heroes is really fun. I do really like Heroes, and I did really like Heroes in what's it called, on the GameCube for the first time I played it. The problem is, if you try to play it any time after that, the Chaotix levels are just something the fuck else. Like, you gotta sit there and slog through a ton of bullshit, and it's like, I seem to recall the Metropolis level has you, like, kill 85 robots, but there aren't 85 robots in the level, so you literally have to go through the level, like, multiple times to do that. It is, like, it's just ridiculous, and you can do without that. I mean, the rest of the game I really enjoyed, and, you know, but it's just doing that made me not want to play it. In the same way that the Cat levels make me go like, holy fuck, do I have to really play through all of these fucking fishing mini-games to get to it? Apparently, according to the reviews I've heard for Sonic Frontiers, that's what they brought back. The fishing mini-games are back, so get the fuck ready for that. Yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, confused by the whole thing as to why that was, of all the things from past Sonic games to bring back, why was the one you did, what's it called? The fucking fishing minigame that no one really liked. I've never heard a positive thing about the fishing minigame in Sonic Adventure, the first one. So, in Adventure 2, it's kind of like, Adventure 2 is a sequel, and the thing is, too, it is the kind of thing where I would point it out and be positive, where, like, it is a self-contained sequel, where it is very much a story that is, you know, entirely new. Like, the characters are all returning, so we know all the characters, but everything gets reintroduced from the beginning. And while it does build off of Adventure I don't even think it really builds off of Adventure, to be honest. It really, like, it's a sequel to Adventure in so much as it's a continuation of the gameplay mechanics. In some cases, like, you know, Sonic's gameplay, you know, kind of mirrors that, but, you know, there isn't the straight, like, you know, one-to-one of story moving from point A to point B. And Tails has an entirely different gameplay mechanic. Knuckles is the exact same. And I think that was a smart maneuver. Although when they do Knuckles in the new version, and same for Rouge, like for them, I think that it's been very cleaned up for the new one, and a little bit easier to do. I just think that the issue becomes, I think the first game had it a little bit better, where the radar on the bottom would ding for any of the emerald shards you're looking for, or as in Adventure 2 goes, like the keys, or you're looking for the keys to get into the base, or you're looking for the Chaos Emeralds in one level as Rouge. But if that's the case, like, especially for the one Rouge level where that's happening, and you have to do that, I think it works a lot better, because it's timed. You have 5 minutes to do it. I feel like it would have been smarter to have the all three dinging at once, so that way if you happen onto an area, you can just grab it and go, instead of having to go around the entire thing multiple times to find stuff. Because that level is timed and you have 5 minutes to do it, it doesn't really give you an opportunity to really dive into, like, doing anything. Like, the game rewards you for finding the emerald shards without, without using hints. Because there are hints all over the thing. If you talk to the little computer screen, it'll give you a hint as to where the emerald is. And you do get you get bonuses for doing it quickly and without hints. But that level is designed where it's kind of like, okay, well, you got 5 minutes to find 3 emeralds, so you have like a minute and change each. So you really don't have a choice beyond, in a lot of cases, having to use the hints to be like, all right, well, where the fuck is this thing? And then move on from there. What else was there? The time challenges can actually present a challenge, which is nice, because each level has 5 different things that can happen within the level. There is the base level, which is just whatever the story event is, like Solitude City Escape. Level 1 will always be, or Task 1 will always be, get to the end, because that's what you have to do. Level 2, for everything, is always going to be collect 100 rings. And I feel like they shouldn't have done that in the 2 racing levels, because the 2 racing levels have that issue where it's very easy to collect rings. Level 3 is always going to be find the lost Chao, and I think every single iteration requires Mystic Melody, which is a hidden extra power-up that you need to find for each character, which is cool, but like Sonic's is in the last level. And you have to like time a jump right to get to it. And I think that like to get the lost Chao in that last level is a bitch and a half too. You have to get up a vertical a vertical thing, and it's just like, fuck me, this is annoying. So you have those. Then you have the 4th one is timed, where it's going to be a lesser amount of time to get through from point A to point B. And then 5 is always going to be hard mode. And the hard mode ones can be really fucking hard at times. So it's all fun. Then there's the Chao. And the Chao are the things that, like, I'm confused and concerned as to why they've never brought the Chao back. Or the Chao Garden back specifically. Because it's like, that's something that, like, I have never heard anyone say a bad thing about the Chao Garden. Ever. No one has ever said a bad thing about the Chao Garden, to my knowledge. Because there is this weird depth to it. And when I saw what they were doing in Frontiers, I was like, oh shit, this game's a perfect opportunity to bring back the Chao Garden. Like, everything kind of fits for this. This is an open world game. You can kind of explore, you can kind of, do all of that. And it looks kind of like the kind of game you'd bring that back. But apparently, I haven't seen anything about a Chao Garden, so I would assume it's not back. Because I feel like if it was, there would have been some kind of sizable conversation about about the Chao Garden. There's also what's it called? And like the racing aspect of it is fun, and you have to train them up and all of that. It's a pretty cool idea. And then like the evolutionary tree of the Chao is surprisingly deep as well. So it is like, there is like, color changes with, selective breeding, and we're getting into eugenics here, but, there's a lot of stuff like that. There are so many different types of Chao you can make. There's evolution, there's second evolution, which is a more subtle thing as they get older. There's death and reincarnation. There's the idea of, There's the idea of, like if they reincarnate twice, you can turn them into a chaos-looking Chao, and it's like, these are all really cool. Like, all of this stuff is really cool, and it is, surprisingly deep. I don't know why they don't bring it back as a side thing, and looking at what's been going on with Frontiers, again, haven't played it, just read some just read some things about it. It is not a, it's not a thing. It doesn't seem like they're there, and it seemed like there are places that the Chao could have been used instead of that. And it's just like you rock the egg a certain amount of times before you whistle to hatch it, and it's a different face. It's like all these little things that are like, all right, this is cool. Why was this not implemented in future games? Because I think Adventure 2 would have been the last time it was implemented, because it wasn't in any of the 3D games, and it wasn't in Advance 3. I would love to hear someone talk about why they stopped that. Because it wasn't Advance 1 and 2, and that was the Tiny Chao Garden, where if you connected your Game Boy to your GameCube, you can move them between, and you can get, like, gem Chao, that were different colored, based on the, the eggs that you buy in the Tiny Chao Garden. You can transfer them over. And those, were shiny and different. But in a world where all of this is kind of, why was that not ported over to Advance 3? Because it's not like the one in Advance 1 and Advance 2 was so different. It could have just been ported without doing anything too different. Now, the garden between Adventure and Adventure 2 is very different. There are 3 Chao Garden in Adventure. The fuck? There are 3 Chao Gardens in Adventure, but the 3 Chao Gardens that are in Adventure are all, They're all, unique, and you have to find them in the world, in the 3 hub worlds. You have to find the one in Station Square, you have to find the one in, in Mystic Ruins, and you have to find the one in the 3rd area of the Egg Carrier, and they're all different, and they all have different, things to them to do it. And look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like the garden as it was in Adventure was as deep as Adventure 2, but it was still there, and there were the gold Chao and the silver Chao and the black Chao, and I'm just confused as to why it didn't come back in future games. I know I sound like one of those crazy Sonic fanboys on the internet, but whatever. The game is moderately fun. I mean, the gameplay does mostly work. Sometimes the camera freaks out on you and kind of will maneuver itself. But who cares? At the end of the day, that's a minor thing, and that usually can resolve itself pretty easily. I don't think there were any real big game-breaking glitches that are still in the game at this point. It's just, I think the PvP mode is a little shallow, but I don't think anyone really bought this game for the PvP. Some of the boss fights are a little bit overly difficult. And when I say some of the boss fights, I mean very specifically the boss fights between Tails and Eggman, when you have to do a character v character, where Tails fights Eggman, Eggman fights Tails. Very specifically, those fights are needlessly difficult. And I would say maybe the Sonic and Shadow fight in early in the game is not exactly the easiest. Where it's like, because the platform's so small, like the second Sonic and Shadow fight is really easy because it's just, if you just either light dash your way through the enemies or just, rev up and just charge through while they're using their standing attack, it's pretty easy to just beat through that level. And then not only that, because of how the level's laid out, it's also very easy to just accumulate a metric fuck ton of rings and then, and then go out and just, kick his ass. But it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, well, that's just too easy. And the one fight between Knuckles and Rouge is not exactly the easiest either. But it's not as game-breakingly difficult. And once you figure out how to do it, it's piss easy. And I think that's a problem too. They shouldn't be doing that, where it's like, once you figure out how to beat the boss, it shouldn't be that easy to do. And the majority of the bosses are kind of easy. It's just there are a few that are just like, what the fuck? Like, and it's just happenstance that and it's like the for the character v character, the smaller the arena, the harder the fight is what the general rule of thumb is. But we'll wrap up there for today. I think we've covered enough ground. Our next episode that we have is going to be whatever news happens. And we also have Black Panther later this week, Andor episode 10 this week, and a few other things as they come on Beware of Spoilers. So, until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.